Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to be with you again today in a brand new episode, continuing the emotional journey of LyTuDiep and CEO James. In the previous episode, we witnessed a major turning point. Diep unexpectedly faced a strange woman who claimed to be Little Nee's grandmother. The woman appeared like a sudden wind, carrying words that tore Diep's heart apart. She insisted on taking her granddaughter back, because Nee was, after all, her family's bloodline. In that moment, Diep froze, holding Nee tightly in her arms as if letting go would mean losing her forever. After much back and forth, the woman agreed to let Diep have 1 or 2 more days with Nee. Yet for a foster mother who had given her whole youth to raise this child, every single second became both precious and painful. During those short days, Diep lived in torment. By day, she tried to give Nee as many beautiful memories as possible, cooking rice together in the kitchen, teaching her how to wrap a little cake. In the afternoon, walking hand in hand to the market and buying the cotton candy Nee loved most. In the evening, telling her familiar fairy tales. They laughed and played, but deep in Diep's eyes lingered a sorrow she could never hide. When night fell, the small house grew silent, with only Nee's steady breathing. Diep sat by the bed, her eyes red, her trembling hand stroking her daughter's hair. She whispered, "You are everything to me. If one day you're no longer here, how could I go on living?" Fear and anguish kept her awake many nights, crying silently with her head buried in her arms. Nee was still too young to understand. But in her innocence, she touched her mother's heart. "I love you so much, Mommy, please don't be sad." Just that simple, childish sentence made Diep break down, tears streaming endlessly. Could such sacred motherly love be strong enough to resist the truth of blood ties threatening to tear them apart? Meanwhile, far away, James was still buried in work. He threw himself into tense negotiations, signed contracts, and sought every way to rebuild his career after being crushed by his father. For James, it was the only path to provide a secure home for Diep and Nee. But little did he know, at home, the two people he loved most were facing the harshest trial of their lives. Will Diep be able to keep Nee by her side? Will James return in time to protect his small family before it's too late? The answers will gradually unfold in today's episode. Stay tuned until the very end so you won't miss the unexpected and emotional turns ahead. The next morning, the sky was still covered with heavy gray clouds. The sunlight was hidden, leaving only faint rays struggling through the gaps, casting a gloomy and somber atmosphere. The wind howled through the bamboo groves, sweeping across the porch with a chilling draft that made the banana leaves tremble as if they, too, could sense the unease in people's hearts. Diep sat silently on the porch, her small figure curled up in the vast emptiness. In her hands was Nee's little handkerchief, something seemingly ordinary, yet carrying countless precious memories. Its fabric was worn, its colors faded, but every thread seemed to still hold the warmth of her beloved child. Diep pressed it against her cheek, her eyes blurring with the tears threatening to fall. Her heart was tangled with endless questions. All these years, I've cared for her as my own flesh and blood. Every meal, every night's sleep, every laugh, every tear, all etched into my heart. If one day I truly must part with her, how will I go on? Who will stay awake through the night holding her when she has a fever? Who will clasp her hand and soothe her when she cries in her sleep? And will Nee ever understand that my love for her is no less than any bond of blood? Her sighs drifted into the wind, fragile as though they might vanish at any moment. The weight of her worry reddened her eyes, her lashes trembling as hot tears threatened to spill onto the hand clutching the little handkerchief. Just then, the faint creak of rubber sandals echoed across the damp tiles. Diep lifted her head and saw a familiar figure entering through the gate. It was James's mother, carrying a basket of vegetables still damp with morning dew. She stopped short when she saw Diep there, her face gaunt, her eyes ringed with dark circles from sleepless nights. Setting the basket down gently on the porch, she walked closer, her warm hands softly wrapping around Diep's thin fingers. Her voice was steady, tender yet resolute. "Don't carry all this pain alone. If that woman truly is Nie's grandmother, then we will find a way to confirm it clearly. I will never allow anyone to tear Nie away from your arms while the truth remains uncertain." Hearing those words, Diep's shoulders shook. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she choked out, trembling with fear. "But I'm so scared, Mother. If they bring out a single paper, a single piece of proof, I'll lose Nie forever. I'm terrified. Every time I look at her sleeping, I imagine that tomorrow I might not be able to hold her again." James's mother did not answer right away. She quietly drew Diep closer, wrapping an arm around her trembling shoulders. In her aged eyes shone a mixture of determination and deep, motherly love. "You must remember one thing," she said slowly, each word sinking deep into Diep's heart. "Nie grew up in your arms. Every step, every smile carries your shadow. That love, no one, no paper, no proof, can ever erase. Until James returns, I will stand by your side. Whatever storm may come, you will not face it alone. To me, Nie is already my granddaughter by blood, and you are already a daughter in this family." Under the gloomy sky, those words lit a small but steady flame in Diep's heart. The fear remained, but the loneliness was gone. For the first time in many days, she felt comfort, felt the strength of a steady shoulder behind her. While Diep still sat silently on the porch, her eyes staring blankly into the gloomy sky, waves of worry surged in her heart, relentless and unending. The wind swept across the veranda, tousling her messy hair and deepening the sorrow etched on her weary face. She clutched Nie's small handkerchief tightly, her trembling hands as if holding on to the last fragile warmth of her child. Suddenly, from afar, the urgent roar of an engine tore through the silence. The sound was both familiar and unexpected, making Diep's heart skip a beat. The vehicle halted at the gate, dust rising in swirls. Moments later, James's tall figure emerged, striding quickly into the yard. He still wore a dark jacket, speckled with travel dust, his face lined with exhaustion after days away on business. Yet in those deep eyes shone the burning desire to return, to see his wife and child again. The joy of reunion flared for an instant, but was immediately overshadowed by overwhelming worry. James froze, his gaze fixed on Diep. She sat there, frail and pale, her eyes red and swollen, tears still marking her cheeks. It looked as though she had carried the weight of the world alone in his absence. Unable to restrain himself, James rushed to her side. His strong arms wrapped around her fragile body, holding her as if to shield her from all the storms of life. His voice came hoarse, trembling with fear and anguish. "What happened, Diep? Why are you like this? Who hurt you so badly?" Diep lifted her tearful eyes to him. All the pent-up grief of the past days burst forth. Her voice shook, broken by sobs. "James, a woman came, she said she was Nie's grandmother, and she wants to take our child away. I don't know what to do." Her words cut through James's heart like a blade. His body stiffened, his face darkened, his eyes momentarily frozen with shock. He loosened his embrace, slumping down as his hands clenched so tightly that veins bulged beneath his skin. His breath quickened, rage rising, but he forced it down. Drawing a long, steady breath, he raised his eyes, fierce, torn, yet resolute. His voice broke the air, sharp with anger yet laced with fear. "How dare they?" He paused, then locked his gaze on her tear-filled eyes, his tone becoming firm, unwavering. "Listen to me, Diep. I will never allow anyone to take our child from us. No matter who they are, no matter what claim they bring, I will face them. I promise you. I swear, to you and to me, this family will never be torn apart." Hearing those words, Diep's shoulders shook violently. She broke down, sobbing into his chest, the burdens of countless fearful days dissolving at last in his warm embrace. James held her tightly, his determined eyes staring into the dim courtyard. In that moment, he was no longer a busy CEO, but a husband and a father, ready to stake his very life to protect the two people who meant everything to him. And in the bleak light of dawn, his silent vow echoed like a fateful anthem: "This family will never be torn apart." The next day, the sky remained shrouded in gloom, as if the night had never lifted. Heavy gray clouds churned and layered over one another, pressing down on the small countryside home. The morning wind swept through the garden, rattling the banana leaves and the bamboo at the gate, creating a chilling, hissing sound. The silence was so profound that even a falling leaf could break it. Diep sat on the porch, holding little Me tightly in her arms. She gently stroked her daughter's soft hair, her uneasy eyes fixed on the wooden gate at the end of the yard. A foreboding sense welled up inside her like a rising tide, making her heart pound. In her ears, the woman's voice from the other day still echoed, "I will come back to take my granddaughter." And then, what Diep feared most finally arrived. The dragging of sandals, the heavy rhythm of hurried footsteps echoed outside the gate. The wooden door creaked open slowly. The woman appeared, her face stern, her eyes filled with determination. But this time, she was not alone. Beside her stood a tall, broad-shouldered middle-aged man with graying hair and a cold, calculating expression. When she spoke, she introduced him as Nee's uncle. They both stepped into the yard with unyielding presence, their manner leaving no room for hesitation. Instantly, the air grew thick and heavy, suffocating. By instinct, Diep clutched Nee's tiny hand more tightly. The child looked around innocently, unaware of what was happening, sensing only her mother's trembling arms. The woman's voice was sharp, her gaze piercing straight into Diep, her tone unwavering. "I gave you 1 or 2 days to prepare yourself. Today, I've come to take my granddaughter home. She belongs to our family, and no one can stop us." Her words were cold, final, leaving no space for negotiation. Diep's body weakened, her throat choked with words she could not utter. But just then, strong footsteps echoed from inside the house. James appeared. Dressed in a simple shirt, his face was set with grim determination. Each step he took onto the porch reverberated through the tense silence. His eyes burned with both fury and resolve. Striding forward, he planted himself before his wife and child, spreading his arms like an unbreakable wall of protection. His voice was deep, steady, but carried undeniable authority. "If you truly are Nee's grandmother, then prove it, with clear documents. Don't expect us to accept mere words." He paused, his breath heavy. His eyes turned sharp as steel, each word cutting like a blade. "Until everything is verified beyond doubt, I will never hand this child over to anyone. Not to you, not to anyone else." The air stretched taut, fragile as glass, ready to shatter into a storm with the smallest spark. The man beside her frowned, anger flashing in his eyes. He stepped forward, about to challenge James, but the sharp, piercing glare James shot at him made him halt in place, his lips pressed tight. Diep trembled as she clutched knee against her chest, feeling the child's quick breaths against her heart. Her own pulse raced wildly, caught between fear and dread. The woman still stood firm, her cold face unchanged, as though prepared for war. In that moment, the small courtyard was split into 2 battle lines. On one side, a small family struggling to protect their fragile love and happiness. On the other, strangers wielding the claim of blood, demanding their flesh and blood with cold rigidity and force. The true confrontation had officially begun. The suffocating air pressed down on the small house, so thick that everyone could feel their breath grow heavy. Outside, the sky seemed to echo the tension swelling within, storm clouds churning, wind whistling through the old bamboo groves, leaves scraping against one another with a shrill, eerie cry like mournful wailing. The old wooden gate creaked with each gust, chilling to the bone, as if warning that this place was about to witness a confrontation far from simple. Diep crouched in the corner of the yard, her frail arms trembling as she clutched little Nee tightly against her chest. Her body was a living shield, her fearful eyes locked on the two strangers standing tall before her. Her heart pounded wildly, each beat threatening to tear through her chest. Her throat tightened, every breath heavy with dread. Within her embrace, Nee, eyes pure and innocent, untouched by life's storms, was dragged into the whirlpool of cold, unyielding words. The child looked around, bewildered, watching the adults' tense faces, her pupils slowly filling with confusion and fear. When she looked up, she saw her mother's tear-streaked face. A surge of fragile terror rose in her small heart. Her tiny hands clutched at Diep's thin, trembling fingers, the same hands that had given her warmth and safety since her first days of life. Nee shook her head, her voice quivering, stammering through sobs. I won't go anywhere. I just want to stay with Mommy. I won't go with anyone else." That fragile, trembling voice shattered the suffocating silence. Nee's broken sob cut deep into Diep's heart like a blade. She broke down, weeping uncontrollably, hot tears falling onto her daughter's soft hair. Diep held her closer, her embrace an unbreakable chain, as if loosening even for a moment would mean losing everything. James stood firmly before them, his chest heaving with rage. Each sob from Nee, each tear from Diep, was fuel poured onto the fire burning inside him. His eyes blazed red, veins bulging on his clenched fists. His jaw tightened until his teeth ground together audibly. He turned sharply toward the so-called grandmother and her companion, his voice deep, heavy, laced with fury. Each word struck the heavy air like steel. "Did you hear that? The child herself has spoken. She will not leave. She wants to stay with her mother, with us. And I swear, I will never allow anyone to tear that apart." James's vow seemed to shake the air itself. The woman faltered, her eyes flickering with hesitation, softness flashing briefly before hardening again. She pressed her lips together, clinging to her stern facade. The man beside her frowned, his hand curling into a fist, his cold gaze studying James, weighing the strength and determination blazing within him. Diep sobbed, clutching Nee tighter, feeling the child's frantic heartbeat and ragged breaths. Nee buried her face in her mother's chest, her small shoulders trembling with each cry. The once peaceful courtyard had become a silent battlefield, on one side, the fierce, unyielding bond of a mother's love pouring out through tears, on the other, the cold logic of blood ties, cloaked in what they called rightful claim. And at the very center, Nee's innocent cries rang out, tearing through the heavy air, a desperate plea to hold on to a fragile happiness in the face of the looming storm. Who is that woman, truly? Is she really Nee's biological grandmother, the only blood relative left in the family, or merely a pawn in some elaborate scheme? Why did she appear at this exact moment, just as Diep in James's life was finally beginning to stabilize? Was it all just coincidence, or is there an unseen hand quietly manipulating everything behind the scenes? The documents she brought, are they enough to prove a blood connection, or are they nothing more than a veil covering a deeper, murkier truth? If they are real, what future awaits Diep and little Nee? And if they are forged, who is the mastermind orchestrating such a meticulous plan? Meanwhile, James, the man who carries the weight of being both husband and father, what will he do to protect the fragile home he has fought so hard to build? Will he take the legal route, bringing the matter into the open, or will he confront the shadowy forces lurking nearby head-on, Cornered as he is, will he have the strength and clarity to preserve his family's happiness, or will he be dragged into a web of schemes beyond his control? And Diep, the woman who poured her youth into raising and caring for me, how will she face the threat of losing the child she has loved as her own flesh and blood? Will the sacred bond of motherhood she has built be strong enough to stand against the weight of blood ties? Will her tears, her embraces, be the shield that protects me, or will they crumble before the storm that is about to strike? All these questions remain unanswered. The truth is near, but to reach it, they must endure harsh trials and breathless confrontations. Everything will be revealed in the next episode, filled with suspense, emotion, and unexpected twists. Please leave your thoughts in the comments so we can share and discuss together. Don't forget to hit the like button to support the channel, and subscribe so you won't miss a single moment. Your support is the greatest motivation for me to keep creating meaningful and exciting episodes. See you all in the next episode, where secrets begin to unfold, and where love, faith, and resilience will be tested to their very limits.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người câu chuyện về mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Mọi người thân mến, thì như mọi người cũng đã biết thì mẹ đơn... mình xin lỗi, mình mang đến câu chuyện của Diep và LyTuDiep. Làm nhiều quá, bây giờ nó bị lú luôn rồi. Thì đây, hiện tại thì mình vẫn đang trong quá trình hoàn thành video về Diep và LyTuDiep. Thì mấy ngày nay ở chỗ mình nó mưa rất là nhiều, nên là cái thời tiết nó không được tốt, nên ở chỗ mình nó cũng hay mất điện, nên nhiều khi có một số ngày mình không thể lên video đều được, nên là mình lên video hơi có chậm trễ một tí. Trước thì mình sẽ cố gắng ngày lên từ 1 đến 2 video, nhưng bây giờ ngày thì mình chỉ có thể lên được 1 video thôi. Và mình vẫn đang cố gắng để có thể lên video nhiều hơn. Và nếu như mọi người yêu quý kênh mình cũng như là yêu quý các nhân vật thì hãy đăng ký kênh, sau đó bật chuông thông báo lên để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé.